Hello, I'm Pip Courtney. Welcome to the program. While Australian farmers manage to get enough fertiliser to support a reduced winter crop, there's uncertainty about whether they'll be able to get what they need in the future if the Israel, US, Iran war continues to drag on. While local urea and potash facilities are being built, the search for more homegrown alternatives to imported fertilisers led one Australian agronomist to the recycling industry. And it wasn't compost he was chasing, it was glass bottles. To grow grain and grass, most farmers add 3 elements to their soil: nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, better known as NPK. Unfortunately, nearly all of NPK fertilisers Australian farmers need are imported. And supplies quickly dried up and prices soared when the Iran war disrupted global shipping earlier this year. As Western Australian grain grower Rhys Turton told Landline in May, fertiliser shortages severely impacted winter crop planting, with predictions the national harvest will be down 20%.
Without a doubt, this is the biggest farming challenge I've had, and I would dare say the biggest farming challenge most Australian farmers have had probably in their farming careers.
I want to see what the soil's...
Landline regularly reports on scientists and farmers developing homegrown alternatives for nitrogen, also known as urea, potassium and phosphorus. Those stories have included basalt rock dust, sprays containing living soil microbes, compost, biological teas and worm juice. Now it's recycled glass bottles.
Like most great ideas, it was by accident. We were fiddling around with some glass material many moons ago, ended up doing some plant trials with another product, threw some of that in, and it was like Jack and the Beanstalk.
Agronomist David Archer, the founder of MaxSil, patented the process of grinding the glass. He says whether it's a powder or granules, glass is essentially silicon, a common element good for crops.
Definitely an increase in yield across most crops, most spectrums, most soil types. That's without a doubt. It also has an effect on protecting a plant against pests and disease and drought. Not always, but it has that effect. It stimulates the plant's natural defences, its immune system, if you like.
David says silicon's good for the bottom line too, as farmers need less fertiliser. Nitrogen and phosphate applied to the soil can become locked up or unavailable to plants, but silicon unlocks them.
In the soil, a good quality silicon will attract iron. So what happens is the iron will move away from the phosphate. It releases the phosphate, so the roots can get at it. That's the simplest explanation.
While David says some customers have reportedly halved their nitrogen and phosphate use, he doesn't sell it as a fertiliser replacement.
So it stimulates the plant's natural defences, the plant's natural ability to pick up nutrients. We sell it as the stimulant for plants. It increases nutrient uptake efficiency.
This Brisbane glass crushing plant opened 3 years ago.
In some areas down there, they've got nearly a tonne of phosphate locked in the soil, bound to iron or aluminium.
Investor and co-owner Brendan Lloyd also owns a green concrete business, and glass powder is part of his concrete recipe.
Is amazing because it's amorphous, so that means that if you remember the stone benchtop issue that we had last year where they were becoming illegal because of the respiratory issues, well, our silica doesn't have that issue. It's so not only helping the farmers, it also can help the construction workers have a safer day and tick some ESG boxes too, which is pretty cool.
This is the circular economy in action. The raw material is bought from recycler, Containers for Change, which pays people 10 cents a bottle for their empties. David Archer says 100% of what comes in goes out, just in a different form. The end product is being used on cane farms in Queensland, grain properties in WA, dairy and beef paddocks in Victoria, and an apple orchard in Tasmania. But one customer isn't a farmer. He makes compost. Scientist Sean O'Brien turbocharges compost by adding rock mineral mixes, including MaxSil.
It's very available in the form that it is. The consistency of supply was another thing. And because it's a more pure form than other natural silica deposits or minerals, it actually works better in our compost and in our minerals. Doesn't matter if you're growing cattle or lettuce or peaches, if you're growing anything in that soil and removing it from your property, you're mining those finite minerals and elements from your farm. So we've got to put them back in a balanced way so we can keep that productivity happening.
Sean's mineral mix composts are being trialled in China, Malaysia and New Zealand. Some clients want to cut urea use, others to rebuild degraded soils. In Australia, trials in sugarcane and rice are underway.
They take up silica in much larger quantities, so we've actually increased the percentage of MaxSil in those mixes. But on a general mix that we do for minerals, we're probably looking at about a 2 to 3% MaxSil input. But I've actually got some new data and some video of some of our results.
Sean's not a big user yet, but he's spreading the word about silicon.
In terms of...
How old's the crop?
This is 3 weeks old from seeding.
21 days.
21 days.
Here we're having a look at mineralised compost applied on water spinach. So very healthy, good dense leaf and stem. And then if we turn over to here, here is the same water spinach planted on the same day just with compost. You can see short stems, tiny plants, less leaf, haven't filled out very well.
So excellent
crop
results.
rotation 3 weeks as opposed to 6 weeks.
6 weeks, exactly.
You can do twice as many crops, theoretically, in the same time frame.
Absolutely.
Wow.
20 tonnes a day leaves the factory, but getting farmers on board was and still is challenging because they don't know much about silicon.
Been pretty pleased with this paddock, the way it's come back after the last application. So
looking good.
Yeah, really
fantastic.
Victorian farm manager Tony Donovan admits he was in the dark.
Mate,
Absolutely.
10 years ago, if you had talked to me about silicon, I would have said, what's that? It's quite amazing to think that the research has been done on it now for some 70, 80, 90 years, and the benefits have been shown, yet it hasn't been incorporated into our standard agronomy. Yes, Peter, great to have a bit of moisture to work with this year, mate, eh?
Just brilliant,
Yeah, no, really happy with it.
What a turnaround this season.
Agronomist Peter Norwood is convincing more clients like Tony to try it.
We take a mixture of the clover and the grass tone, try and replicate what the animals are getting the best balance out of. This is a bit of a game changer. Silica, it's king. So as soon as you manage to apply it, all of a sudden you've got aluminium and iron being attracted to it, and they're releasing then the phosphate back to the plants. And silicon encourages all the nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the soil. So now we've got an opportunity to create some free nitrogen for the plants too. So, there's a few wins all in one package there.
Tony manages 14,000 hectares of cropping as well as beef and dairy grazing land for Midfield Meats in Warrnambool in Victoria.
We keep looking to improve. We're sort of impatient people, I suppose, and we like to make things happen as quickly as we can.
Tony tried several silicon products before agreeing to trial this one 3 years ago. He sprayed it on a third of his land.
We use the powder. We've got a machine that we can put this through. It doesn't dissolve. We've got to keep it suspended. And the small particle, it releases quicker and we get results quicker.
He says livestock graze more evenly now, and they believe it's because the grass is more palatable. Peter says the grass stands up better, letting in more sunlight, which increases growth rates and nutritional density. He says that's because silicon strengthens a plant's cell walls, making them more able to withstand pests and diseases.
There could be as much as 25 or 30% improvements in plant growth and plant productivity. In the dairy operation, we've got the potential for greater milk production, and in the beef operation and the sheep operation, we've got potentials for greater body weight gain, which is what they're actually seeing.
Yeah, but the cattle are looking well. You happy?
Yeah, Tony, these cattle are looking great.
Pastoral Manager Dermot Kearns has been surprised by the results.
The quality of feed we're coming back into in 28 days is credit to the product. From a visual eye, it's chalk and cheese to what we're used to, and no wastage. We've got lush green feed ready to go again for the next round, and yeah, the results are huge.
Improvements in soil and animal health, milk yield and cattle weight gains were noticed here after 12 months. Tony says each year the numbers are getting better.
By about year 3, you're saying, wow, you know, where's the limit with this? We haven't got it right, but we will get it right. We've taken winter weight gains from 0.7, 0.8 a day to 1.4 and up to 2 kilos a day. And they're big gains, they're big percentages, and grass growth we're measuring in the same way. This is a urea, and you know, we've built our businesses around it to a degree. We're trying to and have now lessened our usage, most importantly without losing any production. We're growing as much grass or crop as we always have. In fact, we're actually starting to grow more, and we're using at least 30% less now.
The war in Iran hasn't affected Tony as badly as others. He'd made various changes, including using the ground glass silicon to cut his dependence on urea.
We're getting a release of phosphorus, we're getting a release of potassium. Most importantly, we're getting a good release of trace mineral buildup that we've got locked away in the soil. All that leads to a reduction in inputs and a reduction in financial input as well.
And that's powerful because that's a change in shift of thinking. It's a paradigm change. So I'd like to think that we could perhaps get to a point where there was very minimal nitrogen usage.
Peter runs over a dozen different tests to measure changes to soil and plants.
Just past the shortest day of the year.
We're at a stage now where, hey, this is really working for us. We're getting bold enough now to step out and say, hey, we're going to have a real proper go with all of this because we are making the difference that we are looking for.
One good thing is there's no shortage of the basic material, as long as drinks keep coming in glass. And Tony says cheers to that.
But I have thought that empty bottle of wine, you can look at it and say, you good thing, you go on and contribute to the health of the land and the future of the planet. It's quite a cycle.
People we speak to actually say, so I'm tossing my bottles into that green box over there and I'm getting 10 cents for it, but it's helping grow crops. They think that's an absolute magic.
G'day, I'm Courtney Wilson in Ilfracombe in Western Queensland. Coming up on Landline, how changing weather patterns are reshaping livestock production and what we've learnt from 50 years of weather watching.
Yes, we absolutely know it gets hot out there, but it's now hotter for longer and we're slightly hotter overnight. That's what Maddie's science now is able to prove, and therefore producers are seeing that actually moving their lambing into, say, an autumn period with a warmer winter is a better decision for them.
A Nuffield Scholarship is a backstage pass to the workings of the global food and farming industries. It sends emerging rural leaders around the world to see how agriculture is done elsewhere so they can come home with game-changing innovations. Landline's Christy O'Brien reports on 75 years of this widely respected program.
This man's in a fight, and this woman. On one side, the grazier tending his flocks. On the other, the scientist creating synthetic fibres to surpass wool. The outdoors versus the indoors. A living thing, the sheep, and a living industry.